New Iranian leader defies U.S. We decide when the war ends. A deep analysis of the rising tensions in the Middle East. The geopolitical landscape of the Middle East has once again entered a period of intense uncertainty and tension. Relations between Iran and the United States have deteriorated rapidly in recent weeks, culminating in a bold and defiant statement from Iran's new leadership: "We decide when the war ends." This declaration has captured global attention and raised concerns among world leaders, analysts, and citizens alike. The statement represents more than just political rhetoric. It reflects a deeper strategic stance by Iran as it seeks to assert control over the direction and pace of the ongoing confrontation with Washington and its regional allies. The escalating situation has sparked fears that the conflict could expand further across the region, potentially affecting global security, international trade, and energy markets. For decades, relations between Iran and the United States have been defined by distrust, sanctions, and geopolitical rivalry. However, the latest developments mark a significant shift in tone. Iran's new leader delivered a message that was both firm and symbolic. By stating that Tehran alone will determine when the war ends, the leadership is signaling that Iran will not allow external powers to dictate its national strategy. Political analysts say the statement is intended to demonstrate strength both domestically and internationally. Internally, it reinforces the government's message of resilience and national sovereignty. Externally, it warns adversaries that Iran is prepared for a prolonged confrontation if necessary. The statement also reflects a broader shift in global politics, where regional powers are increasingly asserting their independence in the face of pressure from major world powers. The tension between the two nations has already produced visible consequences across the Persian Gulf region. Military forces throughout the area have increased readiness levels, and air defense systems have been activated in several countries. Reports of missile launches, drone interceptions, and heightened naval activity have added to the sense of instability. Governments throughout the Gulf have taken precautionary measures to ensure the safety of civilians and critical infrastructure. These developments highlight how quickly localized tensions can expand into a broader regional crisis. The Gulf region hosts numerous military bases, energy facilities, and shipping routes that are essential to the global economy. As a result, any escalation in the conflict carries consequences far beyond the immediate battlefield. One of the most sensitive flashpoints in the current crisis is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway connects the Persian Gulf to international waters and serves as one of the most important oil transit routes in the world. Nearly 1/5 of global oil shipments pass through this corridor. Any disruption to shipping could trigger major economic shocks, including rising energy prices and supply shortages. Because of its strategic significance, the Strait of Hormuz has long been a focal point of tension between Iran and Western powers. Military patrols and naval exercises have increased in the region as both sides attempt to secure their interests. Energy markets are closely monitoring the situation, as even the perception of instability in the strait can cause oil prices to surge. The growing crisis has prompted responses from governments and international organizations around the world. The United Nations has called for restraint and dialogue, emphasizing the importance of avoiding actions that could escalate the situation further. Diplomatic channels remain open, but negotiations face significant challenges. Years of strained relations and mutual suspicion have created an environment where compromise is difficult. Some countries have offered to mediate between the two sides, hoping to reduce tensions and encourage diplomatic solutions. However, progress has been slow, and the political atmosphere remains highly volatile.
For many observers, the coming weeks will determine whether diplomacy can prevent a broader conflict. The human impact of rising tensions. While much of the international discussion focuses on military strategy and geopolitics, the human impact of the crisis cannot be overlooked. Millions of people live in cities and towns across the region that could potentially be affected by the conflict. Increased security measures, military alerts, and economic uncertainty have already begun to affect daily life. Airlines have rerouted flights, shipping companies have adjusted their routes, and businesses are preparing for potential disruptions. For families living near strategic infrastructure or military bases, the possibility of escalation has created widespread anxiety. The fear among civilians is not only about the current situation, but also about the potential long-term consequences if the conflict continues to intensify. The confrontation between Iran and the United States is not simply a bilateral dispute. It represents a broader struggle involving regional influence, global energy markets, and international security alliances. Major powers around the world are carefully observing the situation. Many governments are concerned that a prolonged conflict could destabilize an already fragile region and trigger economic shocks worldwide. Financial markets, energy companies, and international organizations are all closely monitoring developments. Even small incidents in the Gulf can send ripples through global markets, affecting everything from fuel prices to shipping costs. This interconnected reality means that the outcome of the crisis could shape international politics for years to come. Possible future scenarios. Experts have outlined several potential paths the conflict could take in the coming months. Diplomatic de-escalation. Negotiations could lead to agreements that reduce tensions and prevent further military actions. Controlled confrontation. Both sides might continue limited military operations while avoiding a full-scale war. Regional escalation. If other countries become involved, the conflict could expand into a wider regional confrontation. Each of these scenarios carries significant risks and uncertainties, making the situation one of the most closely watched geopolitical crises in the world today. Conclusion. The declaration by Iran's leadership, "We decide when the war ends," represents a powerful statement of defiance and determination. It highlights the deep divisions between Tehran and Washington, while signaling that the current conflict may continue for some time. As tensions rise and global leaders search for solutions, the world faces a critical moment. The choices made in the coming weeks will likely determine whether the crisis moves toward diplomacy and stability or toward further escalation. For now, the region remains on edge, and the international community continues to watch carefully as events unfold in one of the most strategically important parts of the world.